On day 13 of our European tour, October 2009, we visited the Sistine Chapel, and after we visited St. Peter's Basilica, we walked the 12 minutes, or about a kilometre, to the entrance to the Sistine Chapel. We didn't have to line up to go into the door of the Vatican Museum, which is the entrance to all of the museums of the Vatican in the back streets. Once a month they have a free entry, and the lines are just phenomenal. We didn't stop to visit the first gallery, which is called the Pinnacotta, but we walked through the building to get into the courtyard of the Pigna. We walked through the Belvedere courtyard, which was designed in 1505.
Oh, of course. What is that?
It became the foundation for many gardens in Europe. The Pigna ball sculpture is a sphere within a sphere. At the end of the Belvedere courtyard is the Della Pigna Roman fountain, and as you can see, it's a bronze pine cone with two birds on either side. So inside was the Braccio Novo courtyard with a whole heap of nice statues, and in the middle of it was this Egyptian sarcophagus. Looks like a bit of a bath, but the bath is actually further over on the other wall. There it is there in the image.
The sarcophagus, coffin made out of marble, is very similar shape-wise to the bath taps coming from the bathing establishment. But if you give a glimpse inside, you recognize the difference. There is an absolutely useless pillar to sustain the head when you don't need it.
Statue of Laocoon, a Greek priest, and his sons. It was dug up in a vineyard in Rome and sold to the Vatican, and it formed the basis of the museums. The Belvedere torso of Apollonius was a marble statue of a male nude from Rome in the 1430s. And here are some images of some statues and sculptures in and around the Vatican Museum courtyard. And here are some still photographs of the ceiling within that courtyard. Also called the Round Hall. You can see all the statues around the wall, and a bowl. And the red bowl itself was the Emperor Nero's red porphyrin basin or bath, and it was taken from Nero's golden palace, which was constructed by Nero in 64 AD after the alleged Great Fire of Rome, which people still believe was Nero's responsibility. If you pause this, you can read the story about the mosaic floor and how it was made. This mosaic floor was taken from a small town called Atticoli, and it's a mosaic floor from a bathhouse from that town, which is about 2 kilometres from the city of Rome, and it was relocated in the Vatican Museum. this is the Hall of Statues, and as it implies, it was just a long hall of busts and statues and some other artwork collected by the Vatican Museum. And there was 54 museums in the Vatican area, and including the Sistine Chapel. You could spend a week in the Vatican City's 54 museums and still not see everything that the museums offer. In the St. Peter's Basilica there's 5,000 artefacts, and you can imagine how many artefacts in the rest of the 54 museums. A number of these museums you have to pay for, and there are some free ones like the Vatican City Museum. The museum was founded and built by Pope Julius II in the 1500s, 16th century. The map room in the Vatican Museums, or the Gallery of Maps, was commissioned by Pope Gregory VIII in 1580s, and the geographer who did the drawings was a friar called Dainty. It took him 3 years to complete the 40 panels in the gallery. Most of these are frescoes, and if you don't know what a fresco is, it's basically a technique of drawing murals on a freshly laid lime plaster, and water is used as a vehicle for a dry powdered pigment, and you've got to get your paintings done without mistakes before it dries, or you've got to do it all again. Then we walk to the Sistine Chapel. The Sistine Chapel was originally named the Cappella Magna, and it was named from Pope Sixtus IV, who built it in 1473 to 1481, and it became the site of the Papal conclave, which is a process of electing a new pope, and all of the cardinals get in there and vote. And if you know anything about it, if they successfully pick a pope, it's a white smoke coming out of the chimney, and if they don't and have to vote again, the smoke is black, so that the people in the St. Peter's Square know when a new pope has been elected. So Pope Sixtus had a number of Renaissance painters create frescoes, which I've already described how they are created, and those frescoes depicting the life of Moses, the life of Christ, and other scenes in the Old Testament are all described on the walls. In 1500, thereabouts, Pope Julius II had Michelangelo paint the Sistine Chapel ceiling. Michelangelo was a bit of a stubborn person, and he didn't really want to do the ceiling. He was on another project, but he took it on, and he had a bent sense of humour, if you want to call it that. He painted the Eve taking the forbidden fruit, and we all think it was an apple, but if you look at the drawing or the fresco, it looks like it's a fig tree from the description of the leaves. If you pause this image of Eve picking the fruit, you can decide for yourself whether it's a fig tree. The creation of Adam in the fresco in the Sistine Chapel was painted by Michelangelo in the 4 years 1508 to 1512, and it illustrates the biblical creation narrative in the book of Genesis, in which God gives Adam life as the first man. You can pause this and get some idea of Michelangelo's imagination of God and Adam and the two fingers coming together. So because we didn't have much time, we left the Sistine Chapel, and I call it the back door, and here's an image of the ramp that you walk down, and then you go through the arch and then into a hallway, and then exit the building. Even this hallway had some beautiful artwork, and in the ceilings and walls there were statues. And if you have a look at these ceilings, they're quite different to the artwork in the ceilings of all the other areas that we walked through. Then we walked out of this Patrono gate, guarding it was these Swiss guards on the sea. And they've been around since 1527, when Rome was sacked by some renegades, and the Swiss Guard were of 189 were part of a 5,000 force that defended the city. The video was produced by myself, and it's the end of another exciting video of day 13 of our European tour, October 2009, and we visited the Vatican Museum and the Sistine Chapel.